right, John.
Okay, so we have a Dell Optiplex 780 right here. We're going to quickly take apart.
And then Alexandria probably has questions, right? Okay.
What is item number one?
CPU or processor?
The CPU. We would normally have to unscrew this. This is called the heat sink. This is what dissipates the heat from the processor to keep it from overheating. On top of this gray right here is what's called thermal paste. Here's the processor, and it comes out as such. This is the bottom of the processor where it connects to the motherboard. This is the top where it hits the heatsink, and this happens to be a Intel Core 2 Duo that runs at 3.08 gigahertz. And that goes right there. Item number two.
RAM. Random
RAM.
access memory.
Random access memory.
We're going to move this out of the way.
Let's come out.
Here's our RAM. This is the random access memory, and this happens to be Kingston. Looks like 30. Yeah, it's PC3, so it's DDR3 that runs at 1,333 megahertz. Each one of these sticks is 2 gigs, so this is a total of 4 gigabytes of RAM, of Kingston RAM, which is good RAM. Next item.
ROM.
ROM. So about the best option that we can find on this one, it'll be a lot easier to find it on an older computer. Probably something like this chipset right here, or Mathco. Most of the time when you see RAM, or ROM, I mean, it'll be attached to the board. Another thing that you could say is ROM is the BIOS, which I believe is this chip right here.
ROM.
So, and that is read-only memory, and basically what that does is even when you turn the computer off, it remembers what it was programmed to do. This right here erases every time you turn the computer off.
So this is a
RAM. ROM is read-only memory, but it
Mm-hmm.
remembers. It's basically, it has one job, and all the program sets are burned into it, and it remembers those.
So RAM, random access memory. ROM, read-only memory.
Yes. Next.
Hard drive.
Hard drive.
Hard drive.
So that is this right here. This is a 3.5 SATA Western Digital, and it is 250 gigabytes. It is a 7200 RPM drive. This is what stores all of your information. This is what has the operating system. This is what has your files, your games, everything on it. This is a disk that magnetically stores data, all of your data.
And solid state drive.
Solid state
Solid
drive.
state drive, we have one right here in this server. I can get it out. This is a solid state drive. It's in this caddy. This caddy is not a part of it. It's just a drive that we're looking at. And this is a small drive. It's an older drive, but this is a solid state drive. This does the same thing that the regular hard drive does. However, number one, the first difference you notice is size. This is a 3.5. This is a 2.5. This has spinning disks that save data. This has memory chips that are soldered to a board with no mechanical moving parts, and it saves the data on those chips. It's much faster.
It's more expensive.
When they first came out, they were definitely more expensive. They're not as bad as they were. You can pick up a terabyte hard solid state drive for around $100 or less. Yeah.
And for hard drive, how much would that be?
I can tell you the last hard drive that I bought was a 6 terabyte, and it was $200. So these are cheaper, relatively less, but these are not expensively bad.
Okay.
It all depends really on brand name. For instance, this is an extremely old one. This one's probably worth more than this one. This is actually more usable than this one because this is so small.
Okay.
That's how old
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So this is like one of the first gens of solid states. I believe this is 44. Yeah, this only has 44 gigabytes of storage on it. So, however, the newer ones, like I said, for a terabyte, you'd spend under $100 for both.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one goes into ports. So the first one is USB.
Ports. Let's do all the ports together.
Yeah.
USB ports,
HDMI.
HDMI.
What I can do is I can just tell you all the ports on the back of this particular PC.
Okay, let's go all the ports
So
all together.
these right here, these 6 are USB. Because they're black, I can tell that they're USB 2.0. If they had blue tongues, which is what the piece is sticking out, that would mean that they're 3.0 or 3.1 actually. It's a higher bus speed, so it can transmit a lot more data. This is our sound. So this is an output, this is an input. Green is typically speakers, blue is typically line in. However, see the pink right there? Tells me that this chip right here, which is a AC97 Intel chipset, which is what handles all the peripherals on the board. It has a program that when you plug something in, it'll say, is this line in or is it mic, and it'll act accordingly. So here's our audio. This is the NIC card. This is how we connect our Ethernet cable and Cat6, Cat5, whatever you're using to the computer so that it can get internet. I don't have to look. I already know it's an AC97. It's a newer style computer. This is a 10-1000, which means that it can transmit and receive 1,000 gigabits per second. So the older ones were 100, so it would say 10-100, but this is a new computer, so this is a 10-1000 Ethernet connection. This is a COM port. Most people don't know what it is, nor do they ever use it. I've used it for programming cars. You can also use it for several other things. It's just a communications port. It's an older style, but we still put it on computers because we still use it for a lot of stuff. You can actually use this to gain access into firewalls and routers and set protocols on different machines and stuff like that. This is a VGA output. This is the analog video right here. This is a
Analog video.
Yeah,
it's a monitor.
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
to connect to monitor. Yeah.
Yeah, this monitor. So this is a printer out. I think it's I can't remember. I forgot. It's been so many years.
It's okay.
PT. Either way, this is a printer peripheral. That's all this does. Fun fact, one of the things that you can do with this guy and this guy is you could actually take this computer and put a version of Linux on it, and you can actually manually access all of these different pins in here. So, for instance, I could take a relay and wire it to a breadboard into these ports and set this computer to control anything with these ports right here. That's what's fun. Okay, this right here is a eSATA, which means external SATA. Basically, if you had an external hard drive, you could plug it into this, and it's specifically designed for an external hard drive. It's so that you get the benefit of the internal SATA ports. Most external hard drives actually use USB. However, eSATA has a much quicker and higher bus, so your read and write times are really fast. So it's like having it still hooked directly into the motherboard instead of going through a USB. It's a lot slower. This right here is a display port. So just like VGA, it is a video port. However, this is a digital port. Originally, from I think the beginning, these were intended for people using Macs doing artwork. This display port is digital. It's a step up from HDMI. It has more features. So this is very similar to HDMI. What do we have next?
Wireless ports, if we have any.
Wireless ports. This computer does not have a wireless port. However, that's kind of a misnaming, I believe,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't be a port.
Yeah,
So
USB.
if this had a wireless card in it, what it would have on the motherboard right here is it would have little antenna connectors that we could hook an antenna to, and it's not really a port. That's the whole point of wireless. So the naming is
Understood.
wrong.
Yeah.
The naming
You
is
can
wrong.
use-
I was very confused with that one
Yeah.
on here too.
Yeah.
You can
the
just
naming is
use,
wrong.
I mean, it can be a USB. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can, but that what that is, a USB, what that actually is that's called a wireless NIC,
Yeah.
which is a
Just
network
tiny.
interface card,
Right.
technically.
Yeah.
So but you would still have to screw on that antenna. I actually almost brought one for that very reason. But basically, it's either built onto the motherboard or it slides into a PCI slot, which is this port right here, and you would have two antennas to screw onto it, and that gives it Wi-Fi connectability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
right, what's
drive,
next?
and we don't have that on.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do. Optical drive. This is right here.
Optical drive is the last one.
So we have a small SATA power connector versus the normal size one for hard drives. And then this is our SATA connection. And this is the optical drive right here. This is a CD burner. It's HL data storage. This is extremely common, well used one. This will go into a laptop or a small compact configuration like this. But this is the laser disc reader. Basically, it's a CD burner. I mean, everybody kind of knows what CDs are and stuff like that. But basically, this this uses a laser to reflect off of a spinning disc that reads zeros and ones as carved in little lines.
Okay.
And that's how it reads the data.